Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the J13 introduction Teams meeting regarding the Your Daughter in Beginning to Row at Surbiton High School. There we are. Right, sorry about that. The first slide is who are we? What do we do? What is Surbiton High School in terms of rowing? Well, Surbiton High School is the largest junior female rowing programme in the country, and more than likely in Europe. We have been continually, after the last few years, one of the top 3 performing girls programs in the country. Our race success last year across provincial and national events totaled of 33 races won with gold medals, 22 second places and 33 bronze places. We had 9 athletes representing Great Britain this year, including one pupil who managed to get the great title of world champion. So we're absolutely thrilled to pieces with our performance last year, and we aim to maintain that performance and overly better that performance in the forthcoming year. The popularity at school is we have 290 pupils rowing at Surbiton High School between year 8 and year 13. So that works out a handy 33% of the cohort for those year groups. So the program's been steadily growing and growing and growing from its incarnation when it first started in 2010. We're steadily increasing every year. The numbers increase and increase, and we find that pupils don't drop off these days. They continue to row. So our sixth form currently has 37 pupils rowing. So that's really, really healthy indication of how well the rowing program's doing, because the numbers are maintaining a high number as we progress through each year group. I should have forgot to say that this handsome gentleman sitting next to me on the right is Stuart Larner. He's now the operations manager and rowing coach. So Stu is working alongside me to maintain everything and progress everything, all things rowing. And Stu will work with some of the J13 sessions. He also runs the J15s. So Stu's a very, very important part of the program moving forwards. So apologies for that. Okay. We come to the next slide, and we talk about our Surbiton High School Boat Club. We talk about our DNA. What is our ethos? What do we do here? We often get asked the question by parents from other rowing programs and coaches from other rowing programs is how do we keep growing? Why do we keep growing? How do we maintain the success that we have year on year on year? And really, it really boils down to our first statement is we really want to, every pupil that comes through the program is to foster a love for rowing, for rowing to be a passion of theirs. So it doesn't matter if they stop rowing in 2 years' time, or they leave school and then take rowing up again as an adult later in life, or they row at university. What our aim is in this program is to get young people interested in rowing and find they have a love for the sport. They might not be able to continue it all through the school year, but our main thing is to have that passion that burns inside them. So if they go to university, they maybe go on with a career. Then later on in life, they think, you know what, I'd like to get back to rowing. I'd really like to do that. I loved it at Surbiton. Let's find a club. Let's join. So our main thing is let's foster a passion and love for the sport of rowing. That's our main reason for being here. Everything then spins off fostering that love, that passion for rowing. We also have in our DNA discovery and growth. So we like to think we're working alongside the school whereby the pupils start discovering who they are, start realizing the challenges they can take, the responsibility that is that comes with rowing, the responsibility for being out in a rowing boat. If you look in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see a J13 Octo there. You know, it's 9 girls in the boat. We're out on the river. They go to races and they're responsible for themselves in that race. So it's a journey of discovery. Who am I? Who am I as a person? What am I learning? What are my capabilities? How can I push my boundaries a bit more? How can I learn more about myself? How can I develop and grow? So it really is a journey of getting to know who you are. And of course, we help them with that along the way. And then as the years that they stay in the boat club from J13 and they start moving up and up and up through the years, so that awareness, that self-awareness of who they are increases and grows, and they grow in confidence and they realize they can take challenges on and face the world, etc. So there's a lot of personal discovery and growth. Included in that is fun. Big element. There's no point, I think, in doing any sport unless you're enjoying it. You've got to enjoy the reason why you're coming down to the boathouse, the reason why you're here when it's raining or when it's hot or when it's early, the reason why maybe you have some tests. If we make it fun, we find that people come back and come back and come back. So by making things fun, everything else starts taking care of itself. The results start taking care of themselves when we're racing. Everything spins off from making the activity fun. If it's fun, people will want to come back. We've seen other programs, other clubs where it just isn't. And then, you know, it diminishes and diminishes and diminishes to a very, very tiny program. And that's not for us. As I said, we're here to foster a love of rowing, discovery and growth. And within all that, and everything we do, there has to be the element of fun. There has to be the element of fun. Why do we do it? We want to come down. We want to be with our friends. We want to find new friends, new challenges. And it's more enjoyable if that's made fun. So that's a big, big, big part of what we do at Surbiton High School. We come down to inclusivity. In the rowing program, we don't turn anyone away. It doesn't matter who you are, what challenges you might have in life, everyone is welcome here. And that's seen through the way that we support and work with pupils that have had challenging concerns through their life and through their years. We work with the parents, we work with the school. We help to make life better for the pupils, no matter who you are, what backgrounds you are, it doesn't matter. We take on everyone, we work with everyone. So the life skills of rowing, I've previously mentioned that you have a great deal of responsibility in rowing. You know, you're put out in very expensive equipment on a river. There's times to be taken into account. Training starts at set times, finishes at set times. There's knowledge about all equipment. There's knowledge about the river. There's knowledge about being safe. There's knowledge about why we go racing, what racing we're going at. There's knowledge about your teammates. There's knowledge about learning about all the equipment, all the various different types of equipment we have. There's knowledge about how to manage your time. You know, when the pupils get into J16, they get into the seniors, they're starting to come into their GCSEs, they're starting to come into their A levels. We find the majority of them just continue rowing all the way through. And all the data we have bears out that it helps. The exam results are brilliant. So time management comes into play when they're in the exams, when they're on study leave. So they learn about time management. We work with them to teach them about time management, work with them to teach them about what you need to bring for rowing. You know, there's a lot that needs to be taken if we're going away somewhere. If we're training here, depending on the conditions, depending on the weather, there's lots of things people need to bring with them. So we really try to deal with the pupils directly to instill this sense of responsibility, to instill a sense of learning life skills that will aid them well once they leave school and go to university, once they leave university to go on to their adult life. We like to think that what we're doing here sets them up with a whole host of life skills that maybe they're not getting within the school, but they certainly get from being part of the boat club. So that's another big function of our DNA, as we like to call it. Then we have well-being. Again, you're training in all weathers. It can be cold, it can be wet, it can be sunny, it can be hot, it can be snowing, everything under the sun. And you're rowing, so you're doing a very physical sport. You're using your hands, you're using your body. So there's an understanding of how is my own well-being. So we teach everyone about their own well-being, to take notice of, oh, my hands got blisters. How am I feeling today? Am I feeling unwell? Am I feeling well enough to train? And then in the round, oh, if I'm not feeling that well, then maybe I need to say, well, look, I just dropped the coach an email and say, I don't think I'll be able to come today, feeling I've got a little bit of cold, or I can come today, but can you just be aware that I've got a little, muscular ache in my thigh or a little blister on my hand, so we know what we can deal with. And then the pupils themselves start understanding how to kind of take their own healthy well-being into account in life and also in what we do at the boat club. So moving on, we have the racing successes for, well, this is last year basically. So great set of results last year. As I mentioned previously, we won 33 events. We came second in 22 events, and we came third in 33 events. And after that was a whole range of really high places and fourths and fifths. So as a whole, everyone did really, really, really well. We were the highest placed junior girls club at the National Schools Regatta. And for those that don't know, even though it's called the National Schools Regatta, it is for anyone who's at school. So it encompasses all the rowing clubs and all the schools across the whole of the UK. So everyone comes and we have a 3-day regatta, and we are for the second year running the highest placed junior girls rowing program. So that's another great achievement. As I mentioned, we had 9 athletes representing Great Britain over the summer. So we had 5 girls start their GB career, and that's GBV France. And so we won that event. They were in there. We went to the Europeans and we won gold and silvers at the Europeans. Then we had 2 pupils at the World Championships year, and one of them became a world champion in the 8th. And that was an incredibly close race, and it was a photo finish for 4 boats. And we had another pupil who got a silver medal at the World Championships. We've also just had alumni of House, Lola Anderson, at the Senior World Championships. We've been going on over last week, and she got a gold medal in the quad. So we've got another world champion to our name, and she's now off her way on, hopefully qualified to go to the Olympics. So all being well, we'll have Aurora at the Olympics next year. In terms of numbers, we had a combined number of individuals of 1,353 pupils racing, or combined number of pupils racing, over the course of the events we go to during the year. in terms of our racing, that splits down into pretty much two forms of racing. We do head racing, and they're time trials where everyone starts off one after the other, and you do a set distance, and it's 3K, 4K, 5K, and you have a time, start, finish, you have a time. So they run from now really all the way through until the end of March, until the clocks change. So it's time trials, long distance racing. Then when we come back after the Easter break, we start the regatta season, and we have regattas that are on the River Thames, and we have regattas that are at Olympic size lakes, so the one at Dawley Lake, where the 2K, or this year we're going to the Poplar and Blackwell, isn't it? Poplar and Blackwell Regatta in the Docklands. That's another 2K course. So there's various regattas we go to from the River Thames, which encompasses local regattas such as Thames Ditton, which is side-by-side racing, to obviously the world famous Henley Boyle Regatta, and where did we Friday this year, wasn't it? Quarterfinals, where we made it to the quarterfinals this year, and semi-finals the year before. So we have a wide range of races. Within the J13s, the racing really doesn't start until usually getting towards the end of the school year, because it takes that long to train the J13s up and to know what they're doing from now all the way through until the end of June, to actually get ready for racing. It's a hard sport to master, and it literally takes all that time to get them ready to be able to row in a crew boat. We will be taking in part of indoor races. So this year, the J13s, if the South East of England Indoor Championships is on this year, we'll be going there. And depending where the Great Britain Indoor Championships are this year, we might go along to those as well. So there's a whole range of races that are coming up, including our own internal races, where we'll be holding our own internal regatta for the J13. So they'll have their own little event down here on the river at Teddington, and our own internal events on the indoor rowing as well. So moving on, we have, where do we train? Right, so our training bases are at the Boathouse in Teddington. For those that don't know, there's a lovely picture of the boathouse with all the boats. That's located in Teddington, and we'll come on to the location in the next couple of slides. We also train at Hinchley Wood. At Hinchley Wood, if anyone's seen it, we've got our own gym at Hinchley Wood, which is all kitted out with weights and stuff to do weightlifting and all that type of stuff. And then we've also got all our ergos at Hinchley Wood as well. So we've got a whole range of ergos at Hinchley Wood, and we've also got spin bikes at Hinchley Wood. So we got essentially 4 locations where we train: at the Boathouse on the water, Hinchley Woods for weight training, Hinchley Wood for ergo training, Hinchley Wood for spin bike training. So we're well catered for in terms of our training requirements and the different types of training that we pursue as part of the rowing programme. So I'll move on, and here we are. Right. That shows you, right, that map shows you where the boathouse is. So obviously where it says boathouse. So we were on the Teddington Reach, and that goes from all the way from Teddington Lock, which is just downstream of us, all the way up to Hampton Court Palace and Morsey Lock. And that's a 7K stretch of water. We're very fortunate because we got one of the longest stretches of water in the country to train on. So it allows us for a wide scope in our on the water activities in terms of training. So being a J13 though, at this present moment in time, they'll come down to the boathouse, and we don't really go further than more than 1,000 meters, maybe 500 meters up from the boathouse when we start. But as they progress, we get further and further on, and then eventually they'll get up to Kingston Bridge and maybe through Kingston Bridge. So as I said, we're very fortunate. We've got 7K of river to row on. It, as I said, it provides great scope. So we can have continual 5K pieces of training work. We can do 2K pieces of training work. We've got loads of the part of the river where we can split ourselves off to do technical training and various distances. So you can also see there's an arrow which says Surbiton High School. Obviously that is self-explanatory. That is where the high school is. So by river, if you were to go from level with the school is Paris, level with the river is from Palace Road down to the boathouse, that's 2.5K. So in real times, we're actually very close to the school. So it really doesn't take any time at all to get on the bus from school, get down to the boathouse for training. Moving on. Ignore the one that says Tennis and Sports. That's no longer required. That was from last year. So equipment. What equipment do we have? So you can see some of our shiny boats there. We have 52 rowing boats, and they break down from single sculls for one person, doubles and pairs for 2 people, and then we have fours, obviously it goes without saying, for 4 people, and then we have 8s, which funnily enough are for 9 people. So as you get to learn more about rowing, there are lots of lots of strange things that happens in terms of what is everything's called. So an 8 is called an 8, even though it's 9 people. So we've got 52 rowing boats. We have 7 coaching launches. Coaching launch is where we actually coach from when we're on the water. We have 30 ergos, they're the indoor rowing machines, and we have 26 spin bikes. This year we'll be adding to the number of boats we have, we'll be adding to the number of ergos to take that up to around about 36 ergos, maybe 40 ergos, and we'll take the spin bikes up to most probably 36 spin bikes. So all through the year, we regularly add into the equipment. Obviously, that's just talking about the boats and the bikes and the ergos we have. That doesn't go without saying that we've got over 100 sets of sculling blades. We've most probably got something like 80 sets of rowing oars. Then we've got all the paraphernalia that goes with rowing. So all the cox boxes, all the stroke coaches, all the, what am I trying to say? I'm losing things to say. All the spares, everything else that goes with it. So the mainstay of the equipment, though, the main sport items, we've got more than enough boats to cater for everyone. But every year we do buy more, and there's a replacement scheme. So during the course of the year, we replace certain boats, or boats move down the years for other squads. So we're in a very, very healthy position in terms of boats and equipment. Transport. Transport to the various rowing venues is by Royal European, and there's a nice picture of Royal European bus there up in London. Weekdays, if we look at co-curricular to start with, the co-curricular transport is provided to the boathouse by Royal European, and the bus leaves Palace Road. There's always a rowing coach, if not 2 rowing coaches up at school, to organise the pupils, whether it's J13 or whether it's all the way through to the senior squad. We have rowing coaches on hand to make sure everyone's getting on the right coach and it's leaving on time to answer any problems. So weekdays, Monday to Friday. This includes obviously all the squads, but specifically for the J13s being Tuesday and Friday. The pupils meet on Palace Road. There'll be a member of staff there to chaperone them to the bus. They get on the bus, drive down to the boathouse. The bus stops outside heading to school. Off the bus, then we chaperone them to the boathouse. On leaving the boathouse, the pupils and parents of the pupils are expected to make arrangements for collection of the pupils after training on a Tuesday and a Friday. There isn't a bus back to school because we're still engrossed in lots of training and other sessions. So there's no bus back to school for any session at the boathouse after school. Though there is, in the winter, we do run a minibus service to the station. So any pupils that are getting a train from Hampton Wick Station home during the winter months, obviously because it's dark, not very nice, we run a minibus service for the pupils from the boathouse up to Hampton Wick Station, and we'll email more details about that service as and when it's getting closer to the winter months. On a Saturday, weekdays, Hampton Wick Station, which time? Right, just getting my thoughts in order. If we are, for whatever reason, end up going to Hinchley Wood during the week, for example, it may be the case that in the winter months, the river is flowing too fast for people to get out, or even in, funny enough, this time of year, if there's a torrential downpour, the river might be too fast for the J13s to go rowing. So we might change the rowing plan and say, right, next Friday, everyone's up to Hinchley Wood, the river's unsafe to row on. In that case, the same as any of the other sports, you get the bus back to school and it has its drop-off points from Hinchley Wood to school. But if that ever happens, we do email you well in advance. As I said, when we move to the winter, we're at Hinchley Wood anyway. So when we're at Hinchley Wood, the Hinchley Wood transport service kicks in, bus to Hinchley Wood, bus back to school from Hinchley Wood. So Saturday, rowers make their own way to the boathouse and their own way back from the boathouse. So I think I've covered everything in terms of transport. But again, emails regularly come out with all this information on. We don't say all this now and just let the whole year run. There are regular emails do come out on a weekly basis about what's happening, where we're going, if there are any changes. So you are regularly kept informed by myself, from Lizzie Roberts, or if I'm not able to do it, then Stu will email you with anything that needs to go on. So all this email is all this information is contained in the handy introduction to rowing PDF that you should all have got. It's about 12 pages, explains everything about rowing. If you haven't got that, then please email me and I will endeavour to send one through to you. The cover of it, I'm digressing here, bear with me. The cover of it looks like that. So if you haven't got that as a PDF of about 12 pages, ping me an email and we'll send it to you. That's got everything to do with your J13 introduction with rowing. in writing. So moving on. Rowing and academic performance. So I think it's worth touching on this now, because if your child decides to continue rowing, it's worth just touching on this subject. So as I said, we've got a statement here that we find pupils who participate in rowing, and including high performance pupils, performed on average as well academically, if not better, than the school population as a whole. And indeed, our pupils this year achieved or exceeded their predictions. So in terms of academic performance, and in fact any sport, physical activity, as the research suggests, and these citations are from the Mental Health Foundation for Sport England, and this is the Sport England research, that physical activity promotes health and well-being, promotes improved mood, reduces stress, increases self-esteem, and helps with depression and anxiety. They're just a few examples, and that is borne out by Sport England and their research with the performance of sport, how it relates to exam pressures, how it relates to performing at schools. So, as I said, most of our pupils this year, the last academic this year, when it came to their GCSEs, when it came to their A-levels, most of those pupils train all the way through, and they find that it really, really, really does help their academic performance, not just in exams, but in studying as well. The pupils that represented the Great Britain, the pupils that rowed at Henley, the pupils that race at national skills, they all continue to train. They all continue to push through. They all continue to manage their time, and they all continue year after year to get fantastic results. So, so not just rowing, but any sport is absolutely a positive for school life, for studying, for doing well in your exams. So as I said, we actually work with our pupils when it comes to exam periods. We actually work with them to help manage their time. We help them set up time management spreadsheets. We help them to understand what you've got to do in your week. You know, you'll want to go and see your friends. You need to go to school. Unfortunately, some of them say that's still something they have to do, but they have to do it. They need to spend their time with their family. They need to study. They need their own time for them personally. They want their time for rowing. They might be doing another sport, so they'll have to manage 2 sports. Or they might be doing another activity. They might play the flute as well as row. They've got their holidays to contend with. And they've got all manner of other problems that they need to deal with. So within all that, we help them to manage and build a framework where they can understand that they can address this, and they can plan, and they can meet the requirements of modern day school life. And as I said, we work with them to build these time management spreadsheets, and how to understand and break down the time and realize how much time they have to spend, or maybe they're spending too much time doing something. And if they've got problems with rowing and they need to catch up in schoolwork, then obviously we manage that as well. We manage them to say, look, it's okay. You can take time off. You can reduce all your training hours. Things will be okay. So we work closely with pupils when they come into exams, when they come into studying exams, when they come into study leave periods, how to manage the time. And I think we do that rather well, because of all the success, both in sport both in other activities, both in their exams and school life. So I think that all goes quite well. Let's move on. Looking at the time. Can you do another activity? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. If you want to do an activity, you can row and do an activity. If, for example, you have a training session and it clashes with one of your other sports, or playing the flute, as we can see in this picture here, or hockey, then by all means, take part in another activity. We're not draconian at rowing. We're not, you must be here for every session. You must attend sessions. If you don't attend sessions, then that's a black mark. You'll go backwards, you know, we won't look favourably upon you. We're not like that at all. If you can't make sessions, then it's no big deal. That's fine. You know, there's always another week. There's always another session. We'll come later on to how many training sessions to attend. I think we've got a slide about that. If not, I'll talk about it at the end of the this PowerPoint presentation. But it's no problem at all. If you've got activities, then we can balance it out. If one week you need to do your football on a Friday, then quite often what we find is a load of people who alternate. They'll do 1 week football, 1 week rowing, or on Tuesday they'll do 1 week flute, another week rowing. So we can manage all this. We can work with you to manage what you need to fit in. What we don't want is pupils getting stressed. It's a long foundation year, and as I said, it takes a year to start becoming proficient in this sport. So we take it very, very slowly, and we just progress. So if you miss a session here, you miss a session there, it really doesn't matter. So yes, can you do another sport? Can you do another activity? Absolutely. And indeed, when we move on to people in the J15 year, some of them are heavily into another sport or heavily into another activity and successfully managed to do both. However, there is one caveat. I must say that when you start getting into J16 year 11, I think most people are finding their feet in what activities and what sports they want to pursue and aspire to and perform well in. And usually we find by J16, by J15, they're starting to err towards a sport or another, or they're starting to come down and say, no, I want to go rowing. This is what I want to excel at. This is what I want to do well. But in J13 year, we're relaxed about it. Not a problem at all. Here we are, attendance and training sessions. So that shows you there the full weekly training sessions for the whole of the academic school year. So handy colour coding, J13's orange, and you can work it out for yourself what all the other groups are. And that shows you how all the training sessions dovetail in through the course of a week, through the course of a term, through the course of the year. So if we take this term, there's 4 sessions. So the J13s have split into 2 groups, green and silver, and essentially you have 2 sessions per week. But within these 2 sessions, if you can only make 1 per week, that's fine. That's okay. If you can't make any that week, but you can the next week, that's okay. You know, we really are at the primary levels of rowing. If you can manage 2 sessions, brilliant, that's fantastic. But don't get caught up in that, you know, the stress and strains of having to attend everything. If you can attend 2, brilliant. But if you can't, don't necessarily worry about it too much. As I said, Friday I know is football night. So if some of you have football on Fridays, then I've already spoken to Mr. Elbakri, and as with what we've done in previous years, we usually alternate rowing one week, football the next, rowing one week, football the next. Likewise, if you have an activity on the Tuesday, again, you might want to alternate. When we come into the second part of the autumn half term, so the first part goes up to the 13th of October, which is where we try and get the fundamentals of rowing on the water all covered, all the basics, and then we move into the second part of half term from the 30th of October all the way through then to March is when the clocks change. It's when it gets dark, and usually the river starts picking up speed. So we move then to the sport of indoor rowing. So essentially there are 2 sports. There's on the water rowing and there's indoor rowing. And when we take part in our indoor rowing, we treat that as indoor rowing club. So we'll be looking at joining the Concept 2 leagues. I think British Rowing are running indoor leagues that we can join as well. So we're joining a couple of leagues, whether it's Concept 2 or indoor rowing, and taking part in their activities, their rowing, their fun sessions. So indoor rowing becomes its club in its own right. As I said before, and then we take part in indoor rowing events, and we go off for those. We all pile into a couple of Royal European coaches, and we'll go up to the south of England ones, or depending where the Great Britain ones are being held. Not sure, it might be Manchester, depends on where they are. We'll go to those as well. So we'll go en masse, hundreds and hundreds of other people there. We'll go as Serpentine High School J13 rowing team, go to an event indoors. So it's great fun. And as I said, we'll take part in indoor rowing for that British Rowing provide or that Concept 2 provide. So obviously the indoor training though provides us with learning all the basics. The indoor rowing machine, the Ergo Dovetail, does dovetail nicely into the rowing stroke. So we absolutely can learn loads from the indoor rowing machines. Then summer training starts and we're back on the water, and we train on a Tuesday and a Friday in the summer term. We don't do Saturdays because everyone is usually where there's so much racing going on that or usually boats are away, people are away, so we find it works a lot easier to have our J13 rowing on the water. So that is basically the school year, and as I've mentioned with attendance, if you can do two sessions, absolutely fantastic. If you can do 1, that's great. If you miss sessions for 1 week, doesn't matter. You won't have missed much at your level, so we'll come in and pick it up on the next week. It's all pretty much the same stuff that you're learning. It's just a question of picking it up over time and learning about all the parts of boats, all the phrases we use, all the parts of the river, everything. It's a whole new game with loads of different terminology, and it takes time to get rid of all that. it takes time to learn all that. Moving on, looking at the clock. Types of training, here we are. So types of training, your daughter will be sculling, and sculling with 2 oars rather than 1, which is rowing. So sculling, everyone sculls to start off. And as I said, it's learning all the basics. It's picking a boat up, parts of a boat. How do I hold on to a boat? How do I put a boat in the water? How do I take a boat off a rack? How do I adjust my shoes? How do I put my sculls in a boat? What are all the parts of a rowing scull? How do I hold it? What part goes in the water? Etc, etc. It goes on and on and on. So there's learning all about the basics of rowing. That is what the J13 year is. It's a foundation year to provide the J13s with a level of knowledge that means if they stay on to the next year, they can progress, get a boat out, put it on the water, talk to them about the training session we're type of doing, push on for the land stage, get going. Also on the ergos, learning about the ergo, learning about the screen of the ergo, learning about how to use an ergo, learning about all the different types of strokes you can take on an ergo, learning about how that dovetails into a rowing boat, learning about how that makes me fit, learning about the types of racing we do on an ergo. Then within those training sessions, we also build in a little bit of circuit training in which we talk about the core strength, flexibility, we talk about stretching, mobility. So as you can see, we're starting to cover a base for building overall fitness for rowing training. So in a way, you have to be fit to train, and then you have to be fit to train to row. That's a way of summing it up, which works quite well. So we build an overall package, and that overall package takes a year, pretty much, to get to the standard that if you continue rowing at J14, you're in a good position to really move on with your rowing. As I said, that takes a year. That year builds resilience. Builds resilience in your core muscles, builds resilience in your posture, builds resilience in being able to sit in a rowing boat and row for 500 meters. It builds resilience for being able to sit on an ergo and do an ergo test for 3 minutes. It builds resilience for all your main muscle groups. It builds the strength in your muscle groups that you're able to lift up a heavy 8. 9 of you, as I've already said. 8 means 9. Be able to lift that up with 8 people, 9 people. Be able to take that off a rack, put it in the water. It builds resilience to be able to do that. So as you can see, we're building up and up and up through the year. And then we develop technical development. So the technical development, what is the catch? What's the finish? What's contrast of a rowing stroke? What's rhythm? How do I push with my legs? How do I get my blades off the water? Etc, etc, etc. There's a whole range of technical development that we start to discover, that we start to impart knowledge to the J13s with. And again, that technical development just for the basics takes a year. Get in the boat, push off, all 8 row. We're going up to Ravens 8. 2K from where we are. That takes a year to understand what to do, to understand that you can do that and not catch any crabs while you're doing it. Get your blades hooked in the water, or a blade pops out of a gate. It's a year. So again, we don't run before we walk. We do everything in stages. Everything has a reason that leads to the next stage. I think I've already talked about knowledge, parts of the boat. There are so many parts of a boat. There are so many parts of a rowing oar. There are so many parts of an ergo. everything in rowing is just got different names, different parts. They all do something. They all interact. So again, learning all the basics. And then we come down, jump into the ethos and behaviours. Well, our ethos is really our DNA, but it's what we're here for. It's what we hear when we put the boat on the water. Why we do what we do. Why we are a team. Why we are stronger as a team. Why we're building strong behaviours as teamwork, of responsibility, of my relationship with my team member. How it is better to build strong bonds of teamwork, to encourage, to empower, as it says, as you know, in the school motto. And that goes with rowing. Building good habits for the future. The good habits, a good habit, timekeeping, getting the equipment out in time, putting the equipment in the right place when we get the boat out. This obviously builds habits all through the school, all through future years. Obviously we have rules, and when the pupils start coming down on Tuesday, we then go through all the do's and the don'ts and the expectations. Because if we have an envelope to work within, boundaries, we find everything it makes everything that bit simpler. Moving on. Racing. As you can see, we've got a whole range of racing. I know we're moving on, nearly taken up by an hour already. I know we've got some questions, so we might run over. If we do, it's going to be for 10 minutes or so. Racing, we have a whole range of racing, which goes through tiers of racing. I've mentioned the head racing, summer regattas, and we have tiers from local provincial racing to national racing to international racing. And I'll explain a bit more about that as the year goes on. But you can see in the picture of the 8, that's a 9, that's an octo as we call it. So we go racing, hopefully come away with medals. So I have to move on a bit quicker because I'm running out of time. I've got carried away. So lots of racing, from beginner racing all the way to international racing and GB racing. Coaching team. That's the lovely Miss Rickards. We have full-time members of staff, 4 full-time members of staff, and we have 8 part-time members of staff. So we have a wide range of numbers in coaching team, a wide range of experience to look after and teach the J13 squad. So we've got a high number of people to coach ratio, which will serve us well. Sorry, I'm going to move on because I know we're at 7:25. Coaching team is highly experienced. We've got people that coach at GB level. We've got people that coach at national level. We've got people that have been coaching for 30, 40 years. They've seen it all. They've done it all. Your daughter is in really, really, really good hands. The knowledge base at Selwyn High School is one of the best in the country. So really strong coaching team, really knowledgeable coaching team. Safety, we take safety very seriously. The first 2 sessions that we run here, so that's whether you're on a Tuesday or a Friday, a Saturday early or a Saturday later, those first 2 sessions for green and silver is really all about safety. It's moving around the boathouse. It's the do's and the don'ts. It's learning what you can do, what you can't do, where everything is, how to put boats in the water, how not to fall in the river, what to do if you do fall in. So it's all about safety. It's about wearing life jackets if you're a cox. It's about if you're on the water, what to look out for. It's about if you're moving around the boathouse, what's sticking out? What can you bang yourself on? What can you knock your head on? What can you graze your your legs on. So the first 2 sessions are all about safety, moving around the boathouse, putting a boat in the water, how to get safely in a boat, how to get safely out of the boat, how to take a boat off a rack, put it on a rack. So safety, safety, safety. So that's what the 2 sessions are for. So we like to make sure we impart that information to everyone, and we spend the time imparting that information. We don't rush it, because we are out in the river, and we like to make sure everyone is as safe as we can be, and that everyone knows what to do in case of an emergency or walking around the boathouse. And it goes without saying, obviously the same at Hinchley Wood. Hinchley Wood Ergo, safety, safety. So the first 2 sessions are really all about the boathouse and all about the river. So moving on. Yes, I often get called this. What do your fees pay for? So I like to break this up. So the school pays for all the salaries of the coaching staff. It pays for the buildings, all the associated costs of running all the buildings. It pays for all the fuel for the 2 minibuses we have. We're very fortunate. We have 2 minibuses to ourselves. We have a truck that is, again, just for their own team. So it pays for all the costs of keeping the 3 vehicles on the road, the fuel, insurance, the licensing, MOTs, etc. Pays for the fuel for the coaching launches, pays for all the equipment insurance. So everything that we have, all the boats, all the equipment insured by the school, and that runs into thousands. Training sites, and it pays for the upkeep of the training sites. So anything goes wrong at the boathouse, if the boiler breaks down, if we have a flood, everything gets paid for. The maintenance, the upkeep, Hinchley Wood, school here, the gym, the spin bike room, everything like that is paid for by the school. Your £160 come on to this, a very extensive list. So when it comes to equipment, we're self-funding. The rowing boats we buy ourselves, the oars we have, there we are, 52 rowing boats, 220 sets of oars. The boat trailers we have, coaching launches, the engine servicing for the coaching launches, all the tools, the repair ivers, paint, fiberglass, rowing spares, shoes, rudder wire, fins, safety pins, for example, even down to safety pins, rate meter, monitors for ergos. I've lost the word, but one of those has come to me. Stopwatch. There we are. I get there in the end. Megaphones, UHF radios. We have a whole UHF radio system with a repeater at Surbiton High School, which means we can use a UHF radio phone, call someone up, and we can speak to Hinchley Wood if the coach would call it there. It's part of our safety system. They need regular update. We need a Department of Trade license to transmit. So we have licenses to pay for. We have technology to pay for. We have videos to pay for. We have video cameras to pay for. We have TVs to pay for. We have projectors. We have boat racking, gazebos. We have Olympic weights. We have dumbbells, mats, weight cages, on and on and on and on it goes. Right to the end, to a little bit of electrical tape. That's what your £160 pays for. It pays for everything to run a boat club, to get on the water, to train. That's what that money pays for. Moving on quickly, because I've come to 1931. Here we go. Right. The Blades Parent Supporters Club. Yes, we have a fantastic parent supporters club called Blades. And I'm sure a rep, a J13 rep, will be contacting you to inform you all about what Blades do. Blades raise money for the boat club. They also provide pastoral care. That's the word I'm looking for. If we go to a major national event at Selborne High School, Blades are there. They set up the big gazebo, they put all the bunting up, they put the flags out, they provided all the food, the sustenance, they're making sure drinks are there, they make sure that food's there for the athletes. They also put on a barbecue once a year. We have a something else once a year. Yes, a big gala dinner. However, that starts at J15s to go for. We like to do that because it's an inspirational thing to say that if my daughter keeps rowing, I've only got another year and another year. Yes, I've at J15, we can go to the gala dinner where 200 rowers or 250 rowers and parents. You can see on the little picture there, Richmond Golf Club, brilliant, fantastic, dance the night away. Right, moving on. Where else do Blades do? Barbecue. They do something else, forgotten what it is. Anyway, big fundraisers, loads of fun. Your rep will be in touch with you to see how you can help. Moving on. Right, okay, so these are some of the questions that have already come in this week. So I'm going to answer some of these because it might answer some of the questions that have already come in. Where to drop off and pick up? Right, okay. Drop-off point at the boathouse is in the public car park. We will send you out a map, and I believe it's in the handbook. Remember the handbook? I go on, show you the handbook. That's the one, refresher. In there, it shows you the drop-off points and collection points at the boathouse, but we will send a refresher out. Pickup points outside the school. The pickup point is Palace Road. For coming to the boathouse, for going to Hinchley Wood, it's outside the science blocks. Right, weekend sessions, at water sessions, is it very challenging for athletes? No, not at the moment. It only gets challenging when you move into the latter part, J14, J15, J16 becomes more challenging. Sixth form, yeah, you're a real athlete. J16, you're a proper athlete. So yeah, it's challenging. It's being an athlete. But they love it. The pupils that say on love it. Arrive late and early. No, all we ask is if we are running a training session and we've got 5 octos, remember octo 8 means 9, 8 means 9 in rowing. If we've got 5 octos out on the water and your daughter is in one of those boats and says, can she leave an hour early? That is a problem because it causes a knock-on effect to the other people in that boat. So we can usually come in 15 minutes early. We can't come in an hour early. So it's best to miss a session. If it's an hour early, we can come in and make allowances for 15 minutes early. Moving groups. Moving groups, I believe Lizzie has been contacting numerous parents about, can my daughter flip from that group to that group? It's a big cohort this year. We've got 120 pupils rowing. I think our largest before is 112. So we can do it, but it means if we get too heavy in one group, if the silver group, say on a Saturday, or the green silk group on a Saturday is 80 people, that starts becoming unmanageable for us. So we do like to manage sessions. We can, as we move on and we get used to running the groups, if, say, for example, in January, because it does tend to pare down a bit because it's not for anyone. So someone said, oh, can I, in January, move my training from Tuesday to a Friday because we have, by natural wastage, smaller groups, and maybe that can be done. But at the moment, we're going to be fairly robust on where our groups are. It doesn't say things can't change, but I think we need to be a little bit robust to start with. And as we move on, we see how things are going and what the numbers are and who's turning up, and we can make adjustments as we move on. Kit, wear your PE kit for now. No skirts. Skirts are banned in rowing for obvious reasons. You can wear lycra shorts, but no black Nike Pro skimpy shorts. The clue is in the word skimpy. I won't say any more about that. So modesty with shorts, please. You can wear your school black leggings, PE kit. That's absolutely fine for now. We will be putting out our online rowing shop for all the kit is going to be going live next week. Next week, I think. So if you really do want to buy our lovely rowing kit, a link will go out from Lizzie and myself, or from Stu, the two Stews, and you'll be able to buy your rowing your rowing kit from there. No hoodies. Hoodies banned. Shoulders are always covered. Back's always covered. You know the school policy on jewellery, banned. Same down here. Now, as we progress with J13s, depending on what we do, it might be worth always bringing a change of kit. I don't think anyone will be falling in the river in the big boats, but maybe as we get through to putting them into smaller boats, we'll update you, bringing a change of kit with you. Right, quickly moving on. Oh, right, here we are. Thank you so much. We do have a very active Twitter account and a very active Instagram account for rowing. So please do follow us on there. There you can find loads of past stuff on there. You can scroll back through, see highlights of the year and what we've done for the last year. And it's a very active account. I've got some questions here from Anonymous. Hello, we obviously try to attend as many training sessions as possible. Inevitably, there'll be times when someone can't attend. How do we go about letting us know if you can't attend training? Ping us an email. We try to, as I said, make the J13s become a little bit self-reliant. So we try and encourage them to let us know when they can't attend. Just ping Lizzie or myself an email. Simple as that. We'll make a note of it. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. Thank you so much for a motivational presentation. Great. Number of people rowing in year 8 alone. Is it a big year? How do we accommodate for all the numbers if it remains unchanged next term? Right. I think our experience has showed us that the numbers will reduce. It's not for everyone. The numbers will reduce to a manageable number. If they don't, we'll come up with a plan, but I expect they will reduce to a manageable number. They usually do. So, as I said, if that doesn't look like it's the case, we have a lot of experience here and we will have a plan to make it work. Next one. Right, what are ergos? Ergos, I will send a picture of an ergo. They are an indoor rowing machine. So they look nothing like a rowing boat. If you Google the word indoor rowing ergo, you'll have one come up. I will make a note, ergo picture, and send you all a picture of an ergo. In fact, I'll get Lizzie to send a picture of an ergo because she's got the most up-to-date email contact list. I think I'm 4 missing. But yes, they are indoor rowing machines. Yes, right. Good question. If you live very close to Teddington and the boathouse, of course, your daughter can make her own way home, make her own way here on a Saturday. And likewise at Hinchley Wood, after training, if you live there, of course, your child can make their own way home, make their own way home. It goes out saying. If you could just let us know, though, so we've got a little reference and spreadsheet so we know who is doing that, that would be great. Do we row the rowers? No. British rowing, unless you're over 18, states you are not allowed to weigh people for welfare and safeguarding here. No, we don't. Absolutely not, for all the reasons that that safeguarding and welfare goes into. No, absolutely not. We do not weigh anyone. How do we handle sports that clash every Saturday? Right, if you're going to a fixture, well, you're going to a fixture, that's fine. Go to a fixture, just let us know. As I've mentioned before, if there are clashes, we usually alternate. We have some people that have done half a term one sport, half a term the other sport. So if you have a clash, let us know and we'll see what we can come up with. It's usually very easy to sort out. Enlarge screen slide, please. Don't know what that refers to. So sorry, not sure what that means. Do they wear boat shoes? No. So trainers to the boathouse, as I said, we will send a bit more of an email out about what to wear, but trainers, absolutely fine. Trainers at the boathouse, kit email. Just write this as a note to myself, thinking while I'm talking to myself, trainers. So no, trainers, absolutely fine. Moving groups. Lizzie is the queen of all things moving. Please refer to Lizzie. Oh, right, swimming test. The swimming test will be either when the clocks change in October or it will be in January. As I said, everything to do is very safe at the present moment in time. The swim test, if we can book it up with a pool in October, we'll do it then. Otherwise, it's most likely in January. Oh, I like this. I've got a fan club already. Great presentation. Thank you. How strong a swimmer should the kids be? Right. OK. The British rowing rules say swim 25 meters in t-shirt and shorts. If you can do that, you've passed the test. So breaststroke, that one. Then I'll do front crawl, breaststroke, 25 meters, t-shirt, shorts. That is the classification. I think there's a tread water as well.
2 minutes.
2 minutes tread water. So it's not arduous. It's not swim a mile, fully clothed with shoes on. No, it's 25 meters, shorts, t-shirt, tread water for 2 minutes. It's not that arduous. But if maybe your daughter is a little bit not that confident on that distance, then I suggest maybe going down the pool and just getting a few lessons in, or teaching her, taking them down there yourself if you can. Right, quick. Oh, right, now we have a changing room at the boathouse. So down to the boathouse, change here. Right. No, swimming, last one, anonymous again. No, swimming assessments aren't done at the moment. We're going to most probably do them in October or January. No, girls will do a water test in October or January. We're quite happy with that. And that's the last question. So without further ado, goodbye. Au revoir. Arrivederci. See you.